Hello and welcome to the DSP Project, your weekly fix of music production and technology. I am of course your host Rupert Brown, and this week I will be reviewing the Sonnox plugin Inflator. Now it's billed as a way to get more apparent loudness out of your audio, as well as get some of that precious analog warmth that everybody's talked so much about. They haven't put up an exact description of what this box does. It's kind of one of these magic box type plugins where there's a whole bunch of little things going on. It seems like it's playing on sort of third order harmonics and maybe adding a bit of saturation to achieve what it does. But what it does is actually quite impressive, because there's no actual compression or limiting going on. You can actually get more volume without losing any of your precious transients and all the nice attack from your audio signal. So let's take a closer look. Now your first question might be, is this designed to work on a single channel or go across a whole mix bus? And the answer is really both. It works quite well. So first of all, let's come at this from a production perspective. I've got a vocal here from Lay Medusa, who has an absolutely beautiful voice. I've got these stems from a remix I did a little while back now, and I'll just play you the original audio.
Trying hard to find a way in your eyes, slowly make a little move towards.
And now if I bring the effect up.
Me, I'm trying hard to find the right words to say. Oh, please let me stay a while longer with you.
So you can hear as I hit the in and out switch here that you are getting an apparent jump in the level, even though it's not going above 0 dB, and the original recording it goes pretty close to 0 dB anyway, but there is that apparent loudness. Now at the moment you'll notice I've got this curve control right at the bottom. The curve control kind of controls how much color that this plugin imparts. So it's fairly clean sounding with the curve all the way down. So now if I'm going to put it at about halfway, and keeping in mind I've got the effect at 100%, but I think it just gives you the most idea of how much, what kind of sound this thing's imparting. So in reality we might use it on something a bit more subtle, but let's crank it right up to try and let you hear what's going on. So let's try. I'll hit it in and out as we go, and you can hear what it's doing.
And around to see that besides me, I'm trying hard to find a way in your eyes, slowly make a little move towards. Me, I'm trying hard to find the right words to say. Oh, please let me stay a while longer with you, just with you.
Now we've also got a band split mode. So in normal operation it's applying it across the whole one process across the whole frequency, whereas with the band split here it basically splits it up into three separate frequency bands, and it sort of slightly changes the sound again. So now to carry on, let's try this on something else. Okay, so these have already been fairly heavily processed, these drums, but let's see what the inflator does to them. So as you can hear, it's quite a dramatic difference. Again, it's getting brighter, but nicely. It's bringing out the kick a little bit, and it's just making it sound all round better and perceivably louder. Again, even though it's not clipping. So let's take a look at. We've got this clip 0 dB control here, which actually allows us to push the input past 0 dB. So it's obviously like a floating point calculation, which allows us to sort of drive it a lot harder. So if we take this off, and now if we watch this little meter here that was sort of basically heading up against 0, it will now let us push past on the input stage. So let's see what that sounds like. So as you can hear, you get some pretty serious distortion going on now. Let's push the curve right up. So now we're pushing it past 0 dB, full effect, full curve with that clip line out, and you'll hear that it's quite a heavy sound. Again, I want to reiterate that these are obviously very extreme settings, but just to give you an idea of how it can be used as kind of a creative device to try and get some distortion happening, as opposed to just a bit more perceived loudness. So it's really quite a cool, capable plugin. So you've got the input stage, which you can use to drive it past too far. The effect, which is kind of like a wet and dry control. The clip on and off, which, as we've seen, lets us drive it past digital 0. Band split, which splits it up into the separate frequencies. So let's have a listen to the band split with these extreme controls, see what we can hear. It actually kind of keeps the signal together a bit better here, rather than it sort of falls apart a bit more without that band split in this application. Curve, which sort of again controls, like it's kind of like a color control for the plugin, and then we've just got just a plain kind of level control on the output stage, so we can bring it back down into something a bit more reasonable. So that's it from a production point of view. You can get the increased loudness, but also use it quite creatively as a distortion coloring type device. So here we have the inflator now on the master bus. I've disabled the other inflators that we had running on the drum and the vocal track. So let's have a listen as I bring the mix up, what it does with a full program. So as you can hear, you're getting quite a substantial boost in the apparent loudness without any clipping going on at all. In reality, I wouldn't use it this extreme, because you can hear there is a bit of kind of distortion, which is what it's kind of designed to do happening. But I think you'd probably use it something a bit more subtle. So well, let's give it a go. Let's bring it up just a little bit. So you can hear there, if you only bring it up about halfway, you're still getting quite a substantial boost, but with and a nice sort of enhancement to the sound, but without sort of too much degradation as a result of that. So yeah, I think it sounds good. So as you can hear, this thing's pretty impressive. I've had a bit of experience with maximizers and exciters. I've got an aural exciter there, an Aphex aural exciter, but a lot of these plugins will, if you push them a bit too hard, they'll make the high end a bit brittle, or sometimes you'll get sort of phase issues, which is sort of what the exciter sort of became famous for. Whereas none of this is true of the inflator. It really gives you more apparent loudness. You still keeps all your transients intact beautifully. So again, no compression, so none of those artifacts, no pumping that comes associated with that. You can get some nice kind of warmth out of it with the slight kind of a saturation type thing that happens when you push it hard. It's not perfect, obviously. If you do push it really hard, then you can get some stuff that's less than desirable out of it. But from a production point of view, if you want to put something like that on top of a bass line or something, you get it can really sort of bring things to life and add another dimension to it. And coming from it as a mastering engineer point of view, it is an awesome way to be able to get just a bit more apparent loudness, again, without damaging any of those precious transients. The inflator currently weighs in at 115 pounds. You can buy it online from Sonox's website, and you will need an iLock dongle. That's another thing to mention. If you don't have an iLock, then you're going to have to shell up one of those as well. But it is, for me, it is a big thumbs up. I was really genuinely impressed. I will be using it for in my own effects chains definitely in the future, and I think it's well worth the price of entry. So good work, Sonnox. Really impressed. That has been my review of the inflator. Now, if you've got an opinion on this, or you've got some questions, head down to the dspproject.com, leave a message underneath this video, and I'll try and answer it as best as I can. While you're there, if you want to subscribe, you can get a new video on music production every single week. And if you want to get a hold of me, send an email to inbox@thedspproject.com. I'm putting a bit of a plea out at the moment. Can you please tell your friends or anyone else you know that would be interested in the show? The more viewers we can get, the more cool giveaways and things I can organize. I've got something in the works at the moment, which is another exciting giveaway that I'll be telling you about very soon. But until then, that has been the show, and I'll see you next week.